We live in a culture that expects a flawless highlight reel. We demand perfection, and as a result, we are terrified of public failure. This creates a dangerous space we all have to navigate, the gap. It is the distance between what we claim to value when the temperature is cool and how we actually behave when the pressure is on. Few people in history lived in this gap quite like a first-century fisherman named Simon Peter. He was passionate, fiercely loyal, and dangerously overconfident. His highest moment came during a conversation with Jesus. When asked, "Who do you say I am?" Peter didn't flinch. While everyone else was guessing, he correctly and boldly identified Jesus as the Messiah. But that confidence was fragile. Just a short time later, Jesus warned Peter that his faith was about to be severely tested. Peter brushed it off, bragging that he was ready to go to prison and to death. He couldn't even process the idea that he might fail. When you start believing your own hype, when you assume your talent or zeal makes you bulletproof, you leave your blind spots wide open. And that is exactly when you are most vulnerable to a devastating fall. The theoretical hit a wall of reality on the night of Jesus' arrest, starting right here in the olive groves of Gethsemane. Hours later, Peter is shivering by a charcoal fire in a hostile courtyard, terrified for his life. The man who was ready to fight an army is completely dismantled by the passing questions of a servant girl. Asked if he knew Jesus, Peter panicked. He denied it. He denied it again. 3 separate times, he swore he didn't even know the man. As a rooster crowed, Jesus turned and looked straight at him. The reality of what he had done crashed down all at once. Peter went outside and wept bitterly. After the crucifixion, Peter did what we all do when we are crushed by guilt. He went backward. He packed up, traveled back to the Sea of Galilee, and returned to his old life as a fisherman. Shame operates by transforming a single terrible moment into a permanent identity. It convinces you that you are no longer a person who failed, but a person who is a failure, forever disqualified from your purpose. But Jesus didn't write Peter off. After the resurrection, he tracked him down right on that beach, standing by the fishing boats. Instead of a lecture, he made him breakfast. True healing, however, isn't a passive process. You can't just sweep a betrayal of that magnitude under the rug. You have to look it in the eye. Look at this diagram. If we visualize those 3 denials as crushing weights on a scale, we can see how Jesus systematically addresses the imbalance. He asks Peter a simple question: "Do you love me?" He asked it exactly 3 times, one question for every time Peter denied him. With each yes Peter gave, a physical weight was lifted off his chest. This agonizing repetition wasn't a punishment. Jesus was surgically pulling the infection of guilt out of Peter's heart, closing the wound so it could heal. And with every affirmation, Jesus responded with a clear command: "Feed my sheep." This was a total reinstatement. By handing Peter a specific mission, Jesus returned the leadership authority that shame told Peter was gone forever. Real restoration requires facing the failure, having the brutally honest conversation, and finally, accepting the call to get back to work. The result of that morning becomes clear shortly after, on the day of Pentecost. The man who cowered before a servant girl stood up in front of a massive crowd. He spoke with absolute clarity. 3,000 people changed their lives because of his words. How did he get there? The secret was actually revealed before the failure ever happened. When Jesus gave that initial warning, he told Peter, "When you turn back, strengthen your brothers." He didn't say if you turn back. He said when. The failure was already factored into the plan. The brokenness became structural strength. A leader who has never stumbled lacks the credibility to speak to people in the trenches. Because Peter survived the collapse, he possessed a specific authority to pull others from the edge. This means the failure you hide most, the one that makes you feel unqualified, is often the very evidence someone else needs to see to believe they can survive their own. Your restoration gives your words a weight that perfection never could. Peter's journey proves that the story doesn't end when things fall apart. The world is looking for that kind of resilience, the kind that comes after a person is broken, restored, and sent back into the field.